Hello, I'm William Gallagher. This is MacNN's One More Thing. And that, over there, that guy, the clever guy, is Malcolm Owen. Hi, Malcolm.
That over there?
Yes. I didn't come out the way I meant. I was in mid-praise, and I thought, don't praise him.
I'm sorry, that makes me sound like a Wookiee in costume as a human being. That over there.
I think you might be projecting a little bit here. I was building to saying that incredible resource of information and sheer talent just the other side of this Skype. Cool. Anyway, Malcolm, I need you a lot this time. Normally, I want to ask you the odd Android question, just really so I can mock Android a bit. This time, I'm into something much bigger. I want to talk about all the sorts of things that are going on with Google at the moment that I know you know more than I do because you covered them for MacNN. But before we get there, have you seen this latest thing about Windows 10 and the updates?
What, the slight changes to the update window that comes up for people who could update?
So, I suppose actually, yes, it is a slight change. I was looking at a screen grab because I don't have a Windows machine, but apparently if you're on a non-Windows 10 machine, it pops up, it comes up whenever you're doing something, like presenting the weather or something. It pops up, now would be a good time to upgrade to Windows 10. And you go, no, it isn't, and you hit cancel and you get on with your work. Well, I was looking at this box when somebody was telling me that something hinky was going on, and sure enough, there is no cancel. There's only a, yay, get on with it button, but this is Windows. Windows standard dialog boxes have a little close button in the side. So you can close that, get rid of the box and just wait for it to pop up later. Except now, reportedly, allegedly, and very suddenly, you can't. Click that close button and Windows will update itself as if you hit OK. Now, I do like updating things. I like keeping up to date with stuff if my equipment can do it, but I guess if you're not yet upgraded to Windows 10, it's because you don't want to be, or you don't have however many hours it takes for it to happen. Why is Microsoft so desperate to shove this down people these days?
All right, folks, let's talk about upgrading to Windows 10. It's time. Windows 10 has the highest customer satisfaction of any version of Windows ever. Here's the thing, though. The free upgrade offer to Windows 10 is going to end soon, on July 29th. Now, after July 29th, you can continue to get Windows 10 on a new Windows 10 device. There's a ton of awesome ones. Or you can go purchase the full version of Windows 10 for like $119. But if you upgrade today, not only will you get your hands on a ton of new awesome stuff that will work as soon as you upgrade, but upgrading now means that you're going to get all future updates for free, like the anniversary update coming soon.
Well, I think it's mostly a case of trying to get people to actually take up Windows 10. I mean, I know it's free, and I know everyone really should change over to newer versions of operating systems, typically for the security elements and for some of the useful features that usually come with it. But unfortunately, we are all agents of non-change. So we don't like upgrading Windows, something that we're extremely familiar with. Especially if we got Windows 7, because people moving to Windows 8, there were lots of complaints because of that new start menu, and we hate change. And then 8.1 is more the same to some people, and then moving to 10, you got that, but in smaller form, and it's like a cross between Windows 7 and Windows 8. And many people just want to stay with Windows 7, not just from an aesthetic standpoint, from not having to deal with the whole blocky window menu mess type thing, but also from a device support standpoint and from software as well, because not all software is made to run on Windows 8 or later.
That last part says like a very valid reason for not. But so it just occurred to me while you said that. Couldn't Microsoft claim that at least they have a fantastic uptake of Windows 10 compared to Windows 9?
Oh, yes, but that would be a bit weird to say.
Yeah, but I think we've heard worse from people about this. You say we resist change, and I would agree with that. That makes sense, except I don't remember the figures for OS 10, but they're high. iOS, you get 80 and 90% adoption of the new ones. I mean, Android's like down in the threepence% or something. But Apple stuff changes. Is it that Windows 10 is just not interesting enough to people.
I think it all stems down to when Windows 8 was introduced, because the only thing anyone really remembers about Windows 8 specifically is it's got that god awful menu. I don't want to use it. Get it away. Unclean, unclean. And that's all people keep on remembering about it. And it's because there's still elements of that in Windows 10. People are still doing the unclean, unclean thing. People like having a nice, orderly start menu a la Windows 7 or anything earlier than that. It's been like that for, I think I can legitimately say, decades now, where you have a start button and a start menu that comes up when you press said button, which lists all the different folders that you could change around. You got all the apps in there, and Windows 7 comes along perfectly fine. Windows 8, they completely change it, and everyone just goes doolally. It is that decades of everyone being used to that original way of doing things that causes the problem. Everyone's so stuck in a rut with doing things in one specific way for so long.
I honestly can't remember when I last updated Windows. I just had like a race memory of it being a bad day and took a lot longer and was just no fun, and you ended up with a different version of Windows, so yay. But at some point, I remember my brother-in-law updating, I think, to Windows 8 and getting really upset, actually, I think isn't too strong a word, at something to do with the folders or directories, whatever you call them on Windows. He was used to having a window open and all of his various folders arranged in a certain order, and now Windows 8, I think, was only letting him display them in alphabetical order, or maybe by creation date, but it had to be one or the other. He couldn't just move them around the way he wanted. I looked at this and it took me a very long time to understand what he wasn't getting, because he was taking a long time to explain it to me. He thought he was trying to say it doesn't do what it should do, that it didn't do what it normally does. And since I didn't know that, and it looked to me the same as it always sounded like it did, it got really quite, not heated, he wasn't angry at me, but he was genuinely deeply disturbed by this, I think, very small change in Windows. So you must be right. People are resistant.
As a side point, for anyone who has a situation like that where they must have folders in a specific order, as long as you're able to rename the folders, just do something like putting a number in front of them. So, for example, I have on my Windows desktop, in one section I've got a load of folders that are 1 space and then the actual folder name, 2 space, actual folder name, 3 space, actual folder name. Just for the situation where it makes it really handy for those folders to be in an order, because I've got to go into one, then the next, then the next. So they still have their proper name associated with them, but they have this prefix, which means that even if I go into alphabetical order, they're still going to be in typically near the top of that list, as long as I do it A to Z.
I actually have 2 Photoshop documents that I have to open a lot in the middle of a sea of others, and I've named them with a space at the start, so they always appear at the top of the list, but I'd actually forgotten that. Hang on, I was going to go phone my brother-in-law. Okay, I had this bad experience with Windows whenever it was. Other people have had the Windows 7, 8 issues. It seems generally nobody's had a great time upgrading. They might love the new version, but the upgrade process, not so much. Is Microsoft being less than wise, making this upgrade process practically a lie? Here's an option to upgrade. You didn't want the upgrade, you are working, but it doesn't matter what you do, we're upgrading right now. So nuts to whether you're on live television doing this or not. It will get people onto Windows 10, but it doesn't sound like it's going to get them onto it happy, is it? So are we just, postponing Windows 11 problems as well? Is Microsoft, couldn't they just do it better and get people on that way? Or am I just being a naive Apple guy?
Well, to be fair with what Windows 10 is for Windows 7 and Windows 8 and 8.1 users, it is a free upgrade. So Aside from the I Hate Change Brigade, there's no real reason, or at least aside from what I've outlined, that can stop someone from upgrading to Windows 10. I mean, the people who have problems with apps that no longer work in anything later than Windows 7 or anything later than Windows 8 or 8.1, because they exist, that's going to be a very limited subset. For everyone else, as long as they can put on their big boy trousers and look at it and go, this is a slightly new interface. I'm not going to be scared. I'm not going to be scared. It's going to be fine. But weirdly, that Microsoft coming in and telling people, you have to upgrade, we're going to make you do it, aside from it being very deceitful anyway, just by changing that close button so it actually does it. And it's something to do with whether people have it scheduled to update at a certain time and so on and so forth. That kicks into it as well. Aside from it being very deceptive, it also costs Microsoft potential money, because it's going to be coming up to the upgrade time in July, where the 1 year amnesty they're holding for people to upgrade to Windows 10 for free ends, and you're going to end up having to pay around $100 and something to do the same thing. So Microsoft rushing to push people to get the upgrade before it becomes a chargeable upgrade, it's admirable and a little bit weird from a financial standpoint.
I'm thinking of how Apple managed a giant move from OS 9 to OS 10. And it did take a long time, but it just seemed to carry us along with it, and it worked. Been a bit anti-Microsoft there. Shock. There's lots of things like that Microsoft. I really dislike this thing. I think it comes down to a question of who owns your computer, you or Microsoft. And I think each side has a different answer there. Google, let's step away from Microsoft then. Google, last week we were saying Google I/O, it was everywhere. I asked you about whether it was like WWDC, where Apple says they're going to bring out this product, and they do, or it's like CES, where everybody says they bring out everything, and they don't. Google made loads of announcements, but the impression I get from over here in the kind of Apple ecosystem is that there's nothing I crave, nothing I fancy. Now, I didn't even pay a massive amount of attention because I was frankly waiting to just ask you what you thought. So, Malcolm, what did you think of Google I/O 2016?
It's not entirely what I'm going to say is similar to WWDC or any major Apple announcement in terms of huge amount of new stuff is being released. Woo! Because a lot of this happens to be months away, if not next year. We already know that Android's update cycle, pushing devices onto newer versions of Android, takes somewhere between a year and an ice age. But aside from that, there's quite a few neat little things in there. Some of these actually apply towards iOS, and some of these are just nice and going, ooh, that's a good idea. But generally speaking, it's not quite on WWDC's level.
Is it reasonable of me to expect that it would be? I mean, they're both developer conferences. It's not exactly a coincidence that Apple brings out new products and technologies then, but maybe that's not what WWDC is there for. It's not what Google I/O is there for. More, here, developers, this is what everybody can work on next kind of thing. But it still felt... The little snippets I've got, I'm interested in Google's version of Amazon's Alexa. I don't think I'm likely to buy it. I might actually buy Apple's version they do, because it will plug into everything else I've got. I don't know, but I'm more likely to buy that. But it felt like that was kind of a catch-up stuff. And I don't know what else seemed actually new.
Okay, well, let's do the whistle-stop tour there. The thing you brought up, it's actually a copy of Amazon Echo. Alexa's the assistant.
Sorry, Alexa and I, we're pals. That's what it is. You know, we get along. We're like that. Okay.
But basically, Google Home is this kind of like a vase, but not quite. A little weird tub of slanted top, coloured bottom awesomeness that does, well, quite frankly, what Amazon Echo does, which is basically you say, "Hey Google," and it goes, "Doodling," whatever, and you say, "Could I have tickets to go to the cinema?" And it'll go, and then you'll remember that the Wi-Fi's been switched off because you said a different command and it turned that off for you. But yeah, that's only part of it. It does other things, like it connects to the smart home stuff, so you can tell it dim the lights and it'll dim the lights. Alexa and Amazon Echo does do this as well. And if Apple were to do something with Siri and some sort of random box on a desktop that you can talk to without having to go through an iPhone or an iPad, you'd expect that as well with HomeKit. So it kind of makes sense. Google's voice search thing is now being turned into the Google Assistant. So still no decent name for it. They are trying to move towards a more conversational style. And you know when we talked about Viv before, that assistant that would do things like order breakfast for you, or if you say, "Can I have my usual from Domino's?" they will do the entire order and pay for it.
Hello? And pay for it. I like that bit.
Well, no, as in they pay for it on your behalf and you pay Viv. It does the payment thing for you without having to do a prompt. Google's basically like that, except without the actual doing the final payment. So their example was, you can ask Google, "I want to see a movie," and it'll come up with a list of 3 movies that it thinks you will like based on your previous search history and all that stuff. And then you can modify it by saying, "I'm taking the kids with me," and it'll come up with another couple of suggestions of movies that are playing at your local cinema that are actually kid friendly. And then you could say, "I want to see The Lion King, book 4 for that," and then it'll book 4 tickets for The Lion King or whatever film it happens to be showing at that time. I don't know what's out there for kids right now.
All things with superheroes. Just
Yeah.
ignore them all. That's fine.
But it will do the booking, and it'll give you a QR code that you go down there and scan with them to confirm your booking, and then you pay there. So it's almost all the way there, except for the payment bit, which Google are nicely saying, "You do that bit."
Right. Using Apple Pay. Yes. Okay.
In terms of iOS-specific things, there are relatively few. The main things are Allo and Duo, which is basically, well, chat programs. So you got Google Allo, which is similar to Google Hangouts. It's similar to Messages, that sort of thing, or iMessage. You can send images, draw on the images quite easily. You can change the volume of a text by changing the font size, because that's apparently a new name for changing the font size nowadays. Volume of text. Bloody hell.
Really? I've not heard that one. Am I allowed to say bollocks on this show? Let's make it the title of the episode. Okay.
We're not allowed to use that word, I don't think, in the title, but I think we could use it in the context of the show.
Okay.
Anyway, that's Allo, and then you got Google Duo, and that's the video chat thing. And how that's set up is, not only is it your usual FaceTime sort of, "Hey, I can see the kids at the pool," and that sort of thing. What you can do is have it set up for certain users that when they call you, you can see the video before you accept the call. So if someone calls you that you know, and they're calling you through Google Duo, and they have video enabled, you can see their movements, face and everything, and what you can expect to experience in the call before you actually answer.
Oh, right. Actually, I don't like this. I thought it was a clever thing. I'd forgotten they said it. I saw some video somewhere that's obviously that. But somebody has pointed out, I wish this weren't true, but you know it's true. People are going to use it in bad ways. Women are going to be found with men doing things in it and stuff. I mean, really foul stuff. And you know it's going to happen. And that upsets me.
To be fair, it is basically going to be limited to people you know. So although it's going to be the really horrible thing that you see on there that you don't particularly want to see, at least you'll have a name to associate with that thing that you just seen.
Right. You can see office situations where that's going to happen, but that's dramatically less than I thought. So that's a bit better. Well, listen, sorry, I'm leading you off down all these lines and I'm taking you further into horrible bits. Google and Microsoft. Let's start this because actually, I'm asking about I/O versus CS, WWDC. We're not that far away from WWDC. We are definitely in the kind of rumor zone for it, and plenty of the rumors say that Apple's going to be doing just what Google just did. That they'll bring out their own version of Echo / Alexa / Google / Hello, or whatever they're calling it. I struggle with the whole concept of rumours and things, but some have more weight than others. Have you heard anything that makes you think, yes, Apple will do a Echo / Alexa / Google thing?
No. I haven't heard of anything that's... I know there's a rumour out there, but then again, if it's a rumour about an Apple product, I've basically switched off at that point because I know full well that it's not going to happen.
There's this other rumour. I'm not going to ask you about the rumour, but I'm going to ask you about the technical side of it. The next iPhone or the iPhone after that or something may possibly have an OLED display. I've heard the term. I understand it means a great display, but I don't know in what way. Is it right that the Apple Watch has OLED? I'm not even sure of that. Do we want Apple to do this? Is it actually of interest to us?
Well, generally speaking, people want to have the best display they can. I mean, the key thing that OLED gives you is that the brightness and contrast. And those are two things people look at a display and go, yeah, I kind of like that display, just from brightness and contrast, let alone other things. Like I've forgotten the name of the feature, but the iPad 9.7 has the color temperature thing. No one thinks about that. Everyone thinks about, is it brighter than the sun to look at? And it also displays pixels next to white pixels, and you can see the difference. Those are the two things primarily that normal people look at.
Okay, so OLED is better. Why haven't we already got it if it's particularly good?
Generally speaking, it's more difficult and more expensive to produce than LCD, LED, that sort of panel display that you usually see.
Am I right? My usual, this is now practically a weekly assumption, there must be Android phones with OLED screens, because there's an Android phone with everything.
Yeah, there is. I just can't think of any off the top of my head, and I'm sure Samsung's done a few. But, yeah, but then there's other technologies out there that you may actually want to have in a display. I've forgotten what the name of it, that Qualcomm... they have this Mirasol, that's it, where they have a display where you can actually read it in sunlight because it doesn't use a backlight as an always-on display.
I like that. I like that a lot.
It sounds brilliant until you realise that it's an always-on display. You can't really look at it in dark locations. So if you go to the cinema, you can't be the annoying person at the front of The Lion King to Simba's Revenge, where you have this bright phone. You have this dark screen that you can't see.
Let's just step back from this, as I fear our 15-minute hour is up, and we can continue this part of the discussion next week. Thingies of the week. Do you have something to unburden yourself about that?
Do you remember last week?
Previously on One More Thing.
For the last couple of years, I've been... No, just don't bring up the audio clip because that's just painful. Basically, I had to use the cheap headphones because the cheap earphones, rather, the £1 from the corner shop is trying to be an Apple EarPod, but it fails miserably. Horrible quality, sort of, because my existing and, quite frankly, expensive Razer headset had decided to die. So I put an order in at Amazon, and that was on the Sunday last week, and they dispatched it on Saturday, and then it arrived on Monday.
And it arrived on Monday?
Yeah.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, what, over a week for delivery?
Oh, sorry, a different Monday. Right, I wasn't thinking there a little bit. Okay. Were they delivered, by hand and in some way, perhaps a limo? I'm thinking we've just passed the anniversary of the 20th anniversary Mac, and you could have bought that with a limo driver installing it for you and things. Was it that kind of thing?
No, it was an Amazon box.
Okay.
But yeah, my SteelSeries Siberia 200 gaming headset has turned up, and it's it feels decent. Sound comes through quite well. I could hear most of your dulcet tones fine.
I should look up what dulcet means. Everybody uses that term. I'm assuming it's a good thing. Okay, but you have them then. You sound a little wary, but so far, you're pleased?
Well, the only problem I have with them is that because of the way the headband is set up, it's got two elasticated style rubbery wire bits, so it's very easy to take on and put off, and it's got this retracting band that your head has to push upwards a little bit, and that's supposed to be able to help fit it and cushion it. And sometimes when I move my head, I can hear the creaks, but that's about it.
I've been staying away from iTunes for a week for a MacNN article, which will be live by the time you're listening to this, just to see whether you can. And this means I haven't been using headphones as much. I have Bluetooth headphones. I kind of took them off. I thought I switched them off. I chucked them on the side of the desk. And yesterday, I just kept hearing this little mouse-like from somewhere. It took me a lot of burrowing through some paperwork and desks to realise that now suddenly the was behind me. And it was the low battery warning on the headphones and things. I'd obviously never let it go that low before. But, oh yeah, plus side, I have a tidier office now. So, yeah, everybody wins. I wonder if that should be my thingy of the week then. Because I think my thingy of the week is harder to describe, or at least harder to describe usefully. It's Alfred 3. Again, Malcolm, we've talked about this before. It's a kind of automation thing on a Mac. So I don't think you do that stuff. Have you heard of Alfred 3 or 2 or 1?
I believe that he was the butler that Batman had.
Okay, I feel thick now. I think that's actually probably why they call it that. Yeah, that was obvious. I knew that. Alfred's an app launcher, really. Less useful now these days, app launchers, because Spotlight will do it, command space, start typing the app name, off you go. Much the same with Alfred, with Launchbar, with others. But it does more things. It has a great clipboard manager. I mean, I fill out a form every day with copies where I've written a piece and I need to put one line in this heading section and one paragraph in here. So what I do is I highlight and copy the title, highlight and copy the first paragraph, highlight and copy the rest. I do all of that, just highlight, copy one after another in whatever I'm writing in. Then I nip over to the form and I choose to paste in the first thing I copied, and then maybe the third thing I copied into the right spaces. Everything you ever copy, automatically kept forever and pasteable, backable in any sequence at any time or all together. It is so immensely useful. I must use it, well, certainly 30 times a week, something like that. But Alfred 3 extends it to allow copying of images and things, which is less useful for me. It extends everything it does, and it even takes on a text extender a bit with some snippets I'm still looking into and stuff. It's like lots of small little things together. And when I say to you it's an app launcher, because Spotlight can do it, I think mentally you have to switch off a bit. But Alfred just does it so well and does these other things so well. You end up, I honestly forget sometimes, am I using Alfred or am I using Spotlight? It's become that much a part of what I do. One of these days, I've got to separate this stuff all out and look at my workflow and figure out what in the world is Alfred, what's Keyboard Maestro, what's Text Expander, what's the Great Hazel, and try to work out where I spent all this money. That's what I'll be doing while we're off away from this counselling session. So, Malcolm, we've had a 50-minute hour. We've looked into the future. We've looked into the present a bit less. I would like to have done more of that, but it seems like everything is still coming. Let's spend the next week examining our conscience and how we deal with technology. Would you like that? Are you up for that?
Conscience?
Yeah, okay. I'll take that as a non-answer as well. Mostly very good talking to you. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.